welcome back to another episode. So, in this video, we're going to get into the Sarmatians, one of the many white tribes, civilizations, cultures in the path from Asia to Europe to eventually America. So, all right, let's just jump right on into this thing. So I did it a little different this time. We just got bunch of bullet points that we're going to just touch on that describe the Sarmatians. So, the Sarmatians were a large confederation of ancient Eastern Iranian, equestrian, nomadic peoples. Iranian, meaning Aryan, meaning Arianas, meaning the UZ. That's the same line, the same path. The other key clue, equestrian. These people, because their ass was being terrorized by the Genghis Khan and them boys who kind of perfected that horseback warfare situation, they adopted that horseback situation as well. And they used that to be able to have their whole people be nomadic and constantly on the move. Alright, number 2, they dominated the Pontic steppe from the 3rd century BC to the 4th century AD. Next, they originated in the central parts of the Eurasian steppe and were part of the wider Scythian cultures. So the Scythian culture, like I was touching on in the last joint. Now I gotta go back and find a map, which this one right here will do quite nicely. You have oh wait a minute, it ain't letting me. This thing is not showing the whole thing. Okay. Alright, they want to play the games. I got it. Let me just jump straight to Scythia. So the Scythian kingdom in the Pontic steppe, 600 BC to around 3rd century BCE. This was the extent of the Scythian Empire here. Royal Scythians, Kuban Scythians, nomadic Scythians, Scythian husbandsmen, Scythian agriculturists. All right, so now back to the slides. All right, so it says the Sarmatians migrated westward. Once again, from the context of Asia, or specifically Eurasia, Central Asia, they migrated westward. You can only go from the middle of Asia, you got to come into Eastern Europe. I got to just keep, touching on that for those that might not be that swift. All right, so they migrated westward, dominating the Scythians by 200 BC. So the Sarmatians end up dominating the Scythians by 200 BC. At their greatest extent, around 100 BC, their territory ranged from the Vistula River to the mouth of the Danube and eastward to the Volga. Volga, I want to say that sounds like it might be some shit like Russian oriented or Russian associated. Let me see. Volga. There it is. So the Volga River basically looks like it runs from the Caspian Sea Takes you all up into Russia. And there it is. So yeah, it sounded about right. All right, cool. So moving along here, they encroached upon the Roman Empire in an alliance with Germanic tribes in the 1st century AD. The Goths broke their dominance of the Pontic steppe in the 3rd century AD. Many Sarmatians joined the Goths and other Germanic tribes in the settlement of the Western Roman Empire during the Hunnic invasions. So these different Caucasian tribes, civilizations are mobbing up, trying to get ready to set it on Rome. And if you watch any TV show or movie about Rome, you always hear about the Gauls or the barbarians to the north. They referring to these boys overall, because these bullet points are telling you that the Sarmatians, they linked up with the Goths, and then the Goths linked up with other Germanic tribes. So yeah, these are these boys right here. These are the Capital One, what's in your wallet niggas. So next, many Sarmatians joined the Goths and other tribes. All right, cool, we got that. Number 9, some Sarmatians assimilated into Greek civilization in the Bosporan kingdom, while others were absorbed by various other groups such as the Alans, Goths, and the early Slavs. So you got these white tribe civilizations. Some of them are kind of, I guess, dominant enough where they still kind of holding a independent identity, and some of these other groups are being absorbed into other white tribes. Just in case that needed to be made clear. So now it goes on, and I'm sure. So let me just stop right here. The Alans, the Goths, and the early Slavs. The Slavs are the fucking slaves that is in your dictionary, nigga. So when you see somebody in, bondage and servitude, these were the people that would often, it was done to them so often that the word slave comes from their people, the Slavs. Just to set that straight. Oh, Dre, why you so aggressive with it? Because, like, these devils always try to come with the shit. Well, everybody was a slave, Andre. Everybody was a slave. No. Everybody was a slave, but y'all never motherfucking want to elaborate on who was all slaves. And I'm here to elaborate on who was who and what was what. These motherfuckers want to bombard black people with slave movies every 3 to 5 years on schedule, but I ain't yet seen a damn movie about some goddamn white slaves. So all of that was just to emphasize who the very first slaves were. It was these Caucasians, specifically the group known as the Slavs. Well, actually, other groups of Caucasians were enslaved earlier by, Genghis Khan and his, time. Whoever didn't get killed outright was enslaved even earlier. But the word as we know it, as far as the history of the word that as we know in modern dictionary and use, it comes from these people, the Slavic people. So next, moving on to number 10, the Alans, related to the Sarmatians, survived in the North Caucasus. The North Caucasus, and gave rise to the modern Ossetic ethnic group. So you have a group of Caucasians that fled from, or that migrated from Central Asia, and now they setting up shop near in the Caucasus Mountain region as we know them in a modern sense. A A lot of people get it fucked up and think that white people came out of the Caucasus Mountains. No, they didn't come up out of the mountains. Them niggas came from elsewhere, and some of them happened to cross the mountains, which is a natural barrier between Eastern Europe and Central Asia and Africa. If you want to just include everything south of the mountains, Africa, or heading into Africa. You know what I mean? We gotta put the geography in this shit too. Matter of fact, let me go back to that damn map and start playing with these cats. Caucasus Mountains. So we look at this one. So there's two sets. There's the Greater Caucasus Mountains, which you see here. Let's see if I can blow this up a little bit bigger. Yeah, you got the Greater Caucasus Mountains in brown there in the middle of the little map. And you got the Lesser Caucasus Mountains, country known as Georgia, China, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Russia, parts of Turkey. I don't know, and that shit running to Iran as well. But basically, this was a natural border that kind of, for the most part, at least to this point in history, kept the Caucasians up out of what we would identify as the Middle East / Mediterranean / North Africa, blah, 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 and the list go on. And back to the next points. So the Sarmatians originated in the 4th to 3rd century BC from Scythian-related nomads in the southern Ural foothills. They migrated southwest into the territory of the Sarmatians, which we're gonna go ahead and just pull that up one time real quick. Got above here the Slavonic tribes, Alans, Alenians, Roxolanians, Sarmatian tribes. Even though they ain't saying nothing specifically about that other group, but they in there somewhere. Let me go ahead and look at just a random article or something. See. The Sarmatian culture, and we get them on the map somewhere, it says, was an Iron Age culture of horse nomads in the area of the lower Volga River in southern Russia. So that other map I showed you showed the Volga River, how it ran from the Caspian Sea all the way up into, towards, main heart of Russia. All right, so anyway, Sarmatians were conquered by the migrating nomads, forming a new Sarmatian people. The Sarmatian culture was distinct from the Sarmatian culture. The Sarmatian power was concentrated in the Pontic steppe and the Caucasus region. They faced military setbacks from the Macedonian kings and the Thracian Getae. The Sarmatians migrated south into the North Caucasus. The royal Sarmatians and the Lozages moved westward during the 2nd century BC. The Roxolani followed the Lozages and occupied the Black Sea steppes. Sarmatians absorbed the Scythians, leading to a shift in power in the Pontic steppe. Sarmatians became dominant in the northern Pontic steppe. Sarmatian power extended to the Greek cities on the shores of the Black Sea. The Saracens and Aorci migrated westward across the Volga and into the Caucasus. The Alans emerged from the merger of tribal groups in Central Asia. The Alans expanded westward, displacing other Sarmatian tribes. The Sarmatians had alliances and conflicts with various powers, including the Romans and Parthians. I ain't even gonna try to pronounce this word again. Let me go ahead and just throw this thing up in Google somewhere so I can get the phonetics of this word, because I've been looking crazy for a minute trying to say that word. We're gonna get it together. What? Boy, that shit ain't even giving you the Boy, yeah, they got that. They got me fucked up. I'm just gonna have to curse on this one, but I can't make heads and tails of how you pronounce that. I've been saying lozenges, but apparently they were an ancient Sarmatian tribe as well. The steppes of modern Ukraine, blah blah blah. They moved into modern day Hungary and Serbia. Woo woo woo. Yeah. Cool, interesting. So these people right here highlighted that I can't pronounce, and the Roxolani attacked Roman territories, including Thracia. The Sarmatians reached the Pannonian Basin by the 1st century BC. Sarmatian movements were temporarily halted by the rise of the Dacian kingdom. Attacks and diplomatic interactions occurred between Sarmatians and Romans, which would make sense because these boys was wilding, causing interference in the flow of the Roman Empire. So yeah, go send somebody that will holler at them, man. Just tell them to cool out. That's what the vibe was. Next, the Alans appeared in the Caucasus and Trans-Caucasus regions. The Roxolani moved westward and settled in modern-day Moldavia and Ukraine. What is that? Woof. Boy, these ancient names, it's a little something. The Arii, it's two R's. I don't know. You're supposed to put that ara on there. You know what I'm saying? The whatever this group is here, Arraei. They settled south of the Danube in Thrace. The Korali, or the Koraloi, and Scythian Sindi also lived in the same area. The Lozages troubled the Roman authorities in Pannonia. The Alans established a confederation in the North Caucasus and Black Sea area. The Huns conquered Sarmatian territory, and the Goths overcame Sarmatian dominance. So now you got another group conquering the other group that was trying to be the men, and they got replaced by another group. The Alans were divided between Hunnish domination and independence. The Sarmatians assimilated with various cultures, including Greeks and Circassians. So this is the other gem before we wrap this up. Not all of these Caucasian tribes came to kill and conquer and get blood and all that. a lot of these groups peacefully and quietly absorbed into other civilizations that were melanated. That's got to be understood off the gate. I'm giving you the history of where they come from. So if you know where they come from, by default, you're going to start understanding who was everywhere else before they got there. And the people that they coming from basically right outside of China coming westward, who they were conquering and over time assimilating, integrating with, so on and so forth. All right, the final bullet points. Oh, well, actually, so to stay on number 29, the Circassians are another interesting culture that we may look at as we go into these different cultures. But there's a movie called The Long Ships with Sidney A. Poitier, and I forgot the white actor's name who was the star, but it was a pretty good movie. It was a good ass movie to be like, one of them old time 1950 joints. And I was surprised that at the time of that period in American history, let alone Hollywood, they had Sidney Poitier portrayed as a black Moor who was enslaving who? These Caucasians, and specifically the Circassians, who was another group that was enslaved. But that's a whole other story. So, the bullet point number 30, the Sarmatians left archaeological evidence in the form of Kurgan graves and pottery. So, with that, I'm going to leave it there. Let y'all marinate on that. That's just another little brief clip on the Sarmatians, one of many white nomadic tribes or Caucasian nomadic tribes, however you want to cut or slice it. And they tell you each step, this tribe was linked to this tribe got absorbed into that tribe. So as we go step by step by step to, the medieval times, and we start to get into the 13 and 1400s, you're going to know who the fuck everybody is, was, and used to be.